Look. Just, okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew makes it look too serious, as if we are very, very serious people. But thank you so much. My name is Mwanza Chalo, and a warm welcome to all of you, and welcome to Dunia Healthcare. And welcome to what promises to be quite an inspiring conversation. And like Matthew had mentioned, it's one of the few in the series of Rethinking Healthcare that we'll be having, because the whole idea is to just bring like-minded people together and see what can happen when that happens, right? And so that's the whole idea behind what we're trying to do. And like I said, my name is Mwanza Chalo. I lead the team at Dunia Healthcare. And full disclosure, like he said, Dunia Healthcare is a smart logistics company that solves supply chain problems in the healthcare space. And we aim to transform the healthcare industry by solving the problem of supply chain. I always say our big, hairy, audacious goal is to build systems that no one has dared to build in Africa. So we're quite excited about that. And we work with retail pharmacies, health facilities, and wholesalers and retail pharmacies. Because we believe that when we have thriving healthcare businesses, then we can improve the outcomes of patients in Africa. That's the basics of it, and that's why we're all here. So that then we can help out people that are running businesses in the healthcare space. Enough about me, enough about Dunia Healthcare, because that's not what we came here for. Let's now turn our sight on to the person that we came here to see today and to listen to, more especially our dear guest. For most people, Mr. Saini needs no introduction because he's quite a towering figure in the Zambian pharmaceutical space. He is the co-founder, or is it the founder of Sylkay Pharmacies, and is the current CEO of Sykal Pharmaceuticals, which boasts of 6 outlets in Lusaka. 3 of them are 24/7 outlets, and he'll be talking about that. And he also has a wholesale arm to his business, which is Sykal Pharmaceuticals. But his influence goes beyond just his business ventures. He's also the immediate past president for the Pharmaceutical Society of Zambia, where he served 2 terms. 2 very interesting and impactful terms, and we'll be talking about that as well. So it's going to be quite an inspiring conversation, I must say. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, help me in welcoming the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Saini. Thank you. You can take a seat. Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Saini, thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome to today's Fireside Chat. We're glad that you made the time to come through. Hopefully you are not lost. I had a few people that mentioned, they found it a bit difficult to get their way around.
Thank you, Mr. Chalo. In fact, I'm one of those who was lost. So I went behind because I was using Google Map.
Okay.
But then I had to come around. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a nice place, and I'm happy to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you. We're going to drive straight into it, Mr. Saini. In about 2006, 2007, you had a very secure job, a very good job in the government. You were working, I think you were at Kasama General Hospital in the government, later on moved to the Cancer Disease Hospital at UTH. But about the same time, you decided to quit that and get into entrepreneurship full-time. A lot of the people that we have attending today are people that are sort of navigating that space where they have a full-time job and they're trying to think through, should I or should I not quit my job to start this business in healthcare? What were you thinking about at that time? What was going through your mind, and what really inspired you to just decide and say, let me jump and do this?
Excellent. So during our time, it was exciting because, everybody who left Ridgeway was employed. I remember very well a driver could come, because I went to Kasama, as you have said, and I was the only one. So a driver will come and ask you, what kind of katondo do you have, so that they can see what kind of transport to use. So that's how sweet it was. And even before finishing, you had some of these part-time jobs. For example, some of our colleagues were working with Zambia to just help, with dossier evaluations and so on. It was very, very interesting. And there was no unemployed pharmacist and pharmacy personnel, yes, even the farm techs. So fast forward, I went to Kasama General Hospital, and it was very interesting. But I would like also to advise, the other young professionals. It could be a pharmacist or any other professional. I think it's important to identify what you really want, because if you do that in good time, it is very good in terms of planning, where you want to be 2, 3, 4, 10 years forward. And I did that. So I already knew, because even when I was at Ridgeway, I was a businessman. Yes,
oh, really?
Yes. So simple businesses, but everybody knew that I was a businessman.
Okay.
So the hospital pharmacy was not my thing. And I also understood, when I looked at a lot of, inadequacies, gaps, too much routine, it became a little bit boring. And I was just looking forward to finishing internship. Because the 1-year internship is mandatory. So everybody has to go through that process. And indeed, once I finished internship, I left, because I was transferred to Lusaka, which was a good thing. And I reported, but I did not start work. Just after reporting, I pushed the examination. But you have a point, generally, even family members reached out. They said, no, don't. Because, there's that apprehension, and people think because the government job is secure, it becomes difficult, if you fail this other side, what are you going to do? So I think that it was a bold step, because I already knew what I wanted. And when I left the government, again, I was employed, in the private sector.
Okay.
Where I worked for another 1 year. In fact, less than a year, I started my thing, but then I had to finish the year to get your full gratuity. So that was it. So I worked for 2 years for other people, and then I started something of my own. So finally, on this point, what I would like to say is that it is not wrong to work for the government. It is not wrong to work for the private sector, for the industry.
Yeah.
Because it gives you two things. Number one, it will give you experience, which you so much need to run any organization. But secondly, it gives you the money. Because speaking for myself, I did not start with a loan. I was not, supported maybe from family. If you are well to do, you can inherit. It didn't happen. And that is why it's so important to work under someone or the government, so that you gain those two important aspects, and then you can move forward.
But was it easy though? Like when you are deciding and coming up to that final decision, so let me just jump. You're making it sound as if it was, a walk in a park. Was it? What it was going through your mind? It
was very easy, actually. I already knew.
You already knew
what I wanted, yes. So even the year I worked in the private sector, I had about 4 jobs.
Oh, okay.
All this was meant to raise resources. So everything was calculated.
I see.
So I could wake up and go to Kabwata Pharmacy. Then, in the morning, I knock off at 16. I'm on the road to another pharmacy in Charleston, Johnson's, up to around 21.
Wow.
And then I go and sleep. But then I also had 2 other jobs. There was a consultancy job with Maristops, another job, part-time with by then it was Proprietor Pharmaceutical. So 4 jobs. And all of them paying. As a bachelor, you realize that just one of the jobs was enough to take home. Simple life. You don't drink beer, you don't. So the other 3 jobs, just serious savings. So you already know, and you know what you want. And so it was easy.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting is, once you have that conviction, it becomes a lot more easier. But if you don't have the conviction, then, that's when there's a lot of question marks and whatnot. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, because absolutely. And I'll tell you something. Most people will start business because they have seen a shop that is open, or that is vacant.
Yeah.
Or they have had, and then without proper preparation. But for me, I started with a business plan, and I knew exactly what I wanted. So it became easy to look for resources, and as you wait for the right time. So it becomes difficult even to save, because you do not have a goal. You don't know how much you need to save, at what point, and that is the biggest problem.
I hear you. I want to double click on something that you had mentioned, which was that when you're starting out, obviously you had to save because you weren't coming from, say, like a well-to-do family that could, pass down some money or some capital to you to start your business. Let's go back a little bit to the beginning. You were born in Luwingu and then grew up in Serenje. These are largely very rural areas where you find that there's a lot of poverty in these areas, and when people bring up poverty statistics, these are usually the ones that they get to target and mention. How was it growing up in such a space, and how has that influenced your approach to life and some of the decisions that you've made?
Thank you so much. That's a very powerful question, because I have lived both lives. Dad was an engineer, one of the few trained from outside. He was trained in India.
Oh, nice.
So even when we were living, when we were young, it was in the low density areas. It may be a small area, yes, but low density.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we lost Dad when we were very young, when I was in primary. So the situation changed. Mom was just a primary school teacher. So the point is, yes, born in Luwingu, moved to Lusaka. But the bigger part of our lives as children was in Serenje, because that's where we did our primary, secondary, and so on. So one of the things that helped really was the foundation. Even if we did not live for a very long time with our parents, but they taught us very important, concepts. Number one, I would be very surprised if one of my relatives, one of my brothers or sisters, steals something. Because they would just keep things anyhow because of the discipline, nobody would touch. When you have people like visitors in the home, even things start disappearing, because even simple things like food would ask, can I have this, can I? So those were very, very good concepts. But what I picked most is the business skills. Because when Dad came back from India, he brought in different games, and some of them were specific to do with business. For example, Monopoly. So it teaches you from a tender age. Yes, and we used to play.
That's like quite... And the rest of us are doing GA.
Yes. So, and he would tell you to say, look, the decisions you make will impact. So you even see, you learn investing at a tender age. So for me, that made the difference. So it may have been a rural area, but it taught us also working together, because now we became a family. Our neighbors' parents were our parents, and solidarity. It was really helpful, and some of us never knew Lusaka. I think the reason why we came to Lusaka is that we passed grade 12. Yes. So even as I speak now, I think I was still going to be in Serenje. So when you do well at that time, usually the top 3 or 4 at the high school, the application letter follows you actually. In the rural areas, technical school, you apply, and that's how we knew Lusaka. But at the end of the day, it teaches you to be humble, because you are coming in from this background. You have everything in the home. Then you go to a child-headed family where you have been struggling to have meals because the relatives, property grabbing at that time. So you live both lives. So even when you have money, you cannot be very excited because of the love that you had when you are young. But at the same time, you become disciplined. Yeah. So that was the journey.
Yeah. It's quite inspiring, because I think for me, it's like the quintessential Zambian dream story, right? Where even though a Zambian child is growing up, say, in a rural area and where they're surrounded by, abject poverty, they can still have the opportunities, or they can still be given opportunities to make something out of that and build a certain legacy and success. And I think that's why your story is quite inspiring as well. So thank you for sharing that. And I'd like to get now down to the business of things. You run quite a successful chain of retail pharmacies, and you also have a wholesale arm to it. 6 outlets, half of them 24/7 businesses. And if I recall well, you were one of the first, if not the first, to operate a 24-hour pharmacy in Zambia, or in Lusaka, which should mean in Zambia. So take us back to that time. What sparked that level of innovation and also the challenge? Because it's different now, right? We have a lot of 24-hour pharmacies now, but it's like there's a blueprint now of how to operate that. By the time that you are starting this, there was no blueprint. There was nothing to look at, or at least with the Zambian context. What gave you the confidence to jump onto that?
Thank you so much. And before I answer this one, I just want to agree with you. You see, coming from Serenge, for example, when the whole town knows that you have actually passed, people would even tease you to say, we heard that passed, got to invest, but what are they doing? You get a point. But the same people, after some time, now appreciate, hard work, and you are more or less, as an example, we may not have been the first cohort. We had a few people ahead, but it's a very, very good lesson that education is the best equalizer, because it puts you at the same level. So coming to your question, yes, you're right. We were among the first people to conceptualize the idea of 24/7 pharmacies in Zambia. I'll hasten to say there are a few outlets, a few people that really started ahead of us in terms of implementation. I'll give an example, Joychem Pharmacy at Northmead.
Northmead, yeah.
Yes, there could be one or two others. We had already conceptualized that. We had already planned. It was just a matter of execution. And then we noticed that one of our colleagues already started, which is a good thing. So when we were talking and discussing with people, others were actually laughing. They thought it's something that is not practical. But I've been around, if you go to other countries, even in North Africa, you find that they operate on a 24-hour government. If people are busy, why should they rush to a pharmacy? And sickness cannot wait. A child can be sick at 02, just like hospitals, they operate 24/7. So why shouldn't the pharmacy operate? Why should you close the doors? So we thought about that, and we were convinced. So it was just a matter of putting resources together and planning so that we execute. Now, here is the point, and to answer your question. For every decision, a strategic decision for any business, especially pharmacy business, you need to look at the pros and the cons. Yes. So the first issue for us was that it was costly. And when you start it, you're basically making a loss, because you have to increase security. It is dangerous in the night. People have to work, have to be comfortable. So security. 2, the human resource. You have to have professionals in the night. And if somebody works in the night, they will not work tomorrow, unlike during the day, because they have to sleep, which means they're off the whole day or 2 days. So it was costly. But we made that decision because for us, and as Sylkay, we look at the client and the patient. What is it what value can we add? So based on that, we took the decision, and we knew it would pay off. So what was happening earlier was that somebody would come and say, you're open. Oh, okay. And then they go without buying. Or sometimes they go and then they turn around. We didn't know. So what time do you close, you guys? But that was important because now the information was going out and people were knowing. The advantage, the first 2 we started was one next to the hospital. It was easy because the hospital doesn't close.
Yeah.
The other one, which was next, was at the bus station. So intercity bus terminal. So it's easy there also because people are traveling in the night and they're preparing. So it was easy. Now, fast forward. The same disadvantage, and this is why I tell people, if it is raining, somebody will say, I want to go and open my hardware. Because it is raining, the customers will not come. Another person will say the same thing. But another person will see that as an opportunity. Because very few hardwares will open.
Yes.
And when somebody needs something, they'll find you open. So instead of selling less, because there are few open shops, you actually sell more. So you apply it to this other concept. You find that you're the only ones, or two, 24/7 pharmacies in Lusaka. Definitely you'll have clients.
Yeah.
So quickly it started building up. And now here is the benefits. You have spoken about the downside. So the benefit, number one, all the revenue you're going to make in the evening, it's extra revenue. Why? Because you're not going to pay rentals if it's a rented business for that period in the night.
Because you're renting for the night as well.
It's the same amount.
Yeah.
So you find that usually you're not going to employ two, because one of pharmacists will be registered as full-time, but you will have other personnel to assist, or part-time. Again, it saves. So you realize that if you have set it up at a proper location, you can actually do more sales in the night than even during the day. Now, can you imagine if you did not open? Because now you're going to take away the business for the other pharmacies in the morning because the client came to you. So these are some of the things to look at. And I can tell you that we have achieved two things. One, the patient is happy because wherever they're coming from, they will know that I'll find the shop open. And two, the business has also gained. But as you have said also, once we started, it was like an outbreak. Everybody else started 24/7.
Yeah. Thank you. You brought up two interesting points. And I think the first one that I wanted to just double click on was the one that you mentioned about closing stores when it's raining, the example of the hardware store that you had given. And I think it speaks to how you are able to read opportunities where people think that there's a big challenge, right? And it reminds me of a story I once got wind of in one of these sales trainings where there's a story of two salesmen that were sent to Africa from a Western country. They were trying to expand to Africa. And when the two salespeople came to Africa, one of them had found there were no shoes. People were not wearing shoes, right? So one of them went back and reported to say, boss, there's no market opportunity this side. Nobody, wears shoes because it's a shoe company, right? They're looking at expanding, right? So the first one goes back and says, boss, there's nothing here. Nobody wears shoes. Then the second salesman goes back and says, boss, there's great opportunity here. Yes. Nobody wears shoes. So I think it speaks to that where you are able to see opportunities where others are seeing challenges. So thank you for that for that well elaborated explanation. And speaking back on the point of innovation, I know most people might not know this. Okay, e-pharmacy has become a thing now. And a lot like the idea you had then, you had mentioned that when you started out with the idea for 24/7, there are other people that have the ideas. And I always say that, ideas are a dime a dozen. The idea that you are thinking about now, there are at least 10 other people that are also thinking about the same idea at the same time. And that's usually the case, right? And that's how innovation works. And fast forward now, I think to about 2020, most people don't know this, but you again conceptualize the concept of e-pharmacy, and I love this story and I would like you to tell it because there are so many lessons to pick up from there. But you didn't eventually become the first mover in the market despite having conceptualized as being one of the first, and you had set up everything in place. Tell us about that. Tell us about that story and what you learned and, yeah.
So the e-pharmacy business for us at Sylkay is one of the most painful things that have happened to us, because we, as you have said, with our exposure with colleagues in West Africa, in South Africa, and so on, we realized that we needed to go and offer this service. What did we do? So we set up, we did an app and trained our colleagues, the core team, how to go about it. And we were about to launch e-pharmacy in Zambia. I think those who follow our pages, we even posted.
It's a big announcement.
Yes, we made an announcement and a lot of people are excited. If you look at it, that should have been January 2020. But we conceptualized it about 8 or 9 months prior. Because remember, even development of an app was not done in Zambia. There was no such skill at that time. So you can imagine all the work we put in, and we were supposed to launch it at Pamozi. What happened? Somebody just hinted, I think I can even mention the name, my colleague who was running HPZ at that time said, Ken, but have you spoken with Zamra about this? I said, do you think it's necessary? I said, yeah. Even
After sit up.
everything and invitation, and the launch was supposed to be on the weekend, the next weekend. So I said, oh, okay, I think it's okay. Yeah, just inform them for the courtesy of it, because there were no regulations for e-pharmacy. So I did that, and then the DG then was gracious enough to meet me and said, we are thinking of, coming up with regulations, and the board has talked about it, the committees have talked about it, but it's going to take a bit of time. So when do you want to launch this? I said, we are launching Saturday. Then
Pay that Pamozi.
yes. Then the regulator now, became uncomfortable. Well, you can go ahead, but I would strongly advise you to wait, because, and it was very painful, because it's good that your business is protected and also the clients are protected. But then I asked a question. When these condoms, before legislation, people were selling condoms. We didn't say you cannot have, the diagnostic test, the malaria testers, ABC. They were still selling. So when regulation was put in place, then everybody had to conform. Even for the e-pharmacies, if you check the history in India and other countries, as long as you're a registered pharmacy, you're a brick and mortar pharmacy, it means you fulfilled the law. It's not every Jim and Jack. Now you're just doing it as an extra arm. So while we recognize, the risks and the fears, but look, we have invested so much and we don't know when you guys will be ready. No. Okay, what you can still go ahead, but what we can encourage you is to write a letter. So that letter will look at it, and if possible, invite you, come and do a presentation, we look at your app. I said, I'm ready. I wrote a letter and delivered it the next morning. Now, fast forward to cut the story short.
So did you go ahead?
No.
The launch on.
No. We didn't go, because we follow regulation. We want to respect the regulators. So even if you know that you have a point, yes, so you want to follow the law, because they have although they didn't say don't go ahead, but they discouraged. So what happened now? Fast forward. So we canceled that. We lost the monies and all. And we wrote. It was follow-up after follow-up. 1 year. And then we just saw an advert of an online pharmacy in Zambia. So to cut the story short, it was very painful and annoying, because you are following, and I may not go into details what happened for those to be given. But for us, we believe when we want to be trailblazers, and we have put in so much, and to think of it, most of those people learned from us because we had publicized it. And then they went ahead, and since the authority knew that we were the first ones to approach them and to suggest, surely, how do you invite other people? So that is what I would say. But there are so many benefits of e-pharmacy, and that is why, if we were given an opportunity, because us, we knew what we wanted. Sometimes it's not about the money. It's about the heart, the vision, and what you want to achieve. So somebody with so much resources can actually fail. And if you see how many people are complaining, so it doesn't really matter. But if you have people who are skilled, the actual professionals and the price is good, efficiency, it makes a difference. So that is where we are. And as I speak to you now, there's no legislation up to now. And if you say from 2020, this is we are going to 2025.
5 years later.
Yes, there's still no legislation.
You're still waiting for a response from that later.
No. Later on, they said, no, you can also come and present. Because you see, the problem with people in offices, they've never run business. These are colleagues. So they don't understand what it really means to be a first mover and what it means to invest in something. So the first lesson is that the regulators and the authorities need to move with time. Healthcare, and it's changing every day. So they don't have to be rigid. And they have to be flexible with the industry. We are the ones seeing the clients. Yeah. I'll tell you something. During COVID, people suffered. Why should somebody come all the way, queue up, spread the COVID, when they can do it in the comfort of their home?
Yeah.
So it's tricky. That if they had done it professionally and regulated and moved faster, because we were already ahead, moved faster, it would have helped because so many of these already registered pharmacies would have wanted that arm, and the patient also will have benefited. When you do that, like they did, they are going to stifle the competition, reduce access, and encourage wrongdoing. Because even the illegal outlets and so on will take advantage because there is that demand. So that's a problem. We as a country, usually we are good at talking, but when it comes to implementation and so on, it's a problem. So that's a bitter lesson, yes.
I hear you.
And when I talk about it, they get ashamed. They know.
I'm sure. Okay, that's nice. Thank you. So as an industry leader who's had such enormous experience in the pharmaceutical industry in Zambia, what would you say is the biggest challenge of running a pharmacy business or a pharmaceutical business in Zambia? And how do we best navigate those challenges?
Yeah, so there are several challenges, but I first want to highlight one point, which is the business mortality. Most businesses, be it pharmacy or any other businesses, fail. In fact, generally, it is said that 20% of all startups fail within the first year of starting the business. If you push it further, within 5 years, about 50%. So half of the business will have disappeared in about 5 years. And then 10 years, about 70%. But those who remain usually will remain for a longer period. There are several reasons. Number one is business planning. Starting a business without a plan is like running from nowhere to where. How are you going to arrive? How are you going to evaluate, your performance? So, for example, I mentioned myself that I did a business plan way ahead because what I was waiting for is just to fill in the gaps because the business plan will tell you, for example, where to set up a pharmacy. So even if I have this shop which is vacant on the 10th floor, I know that it will be difficult for people to have access and to actually sell, unless if it's an office. It will also tell you the strategies and so many things to give you an implementation plan where you do the projections so that you are in line. So that's number one. So most startups, the biggest challenge is they do not even have a plan. So they work out, they mix the money, the pocket money, for food, for rent, and the business, yes. So the problem of the business are the problem of their own. So that's number one. So that is very, very crucial. And now it is easy for people to have business plans because I'll tell you, when we started ourselves, we were among the first ones. It was difficult even to approach a mentor. This time you will find a mentor who will be able to guide you. They can even give you a draft, this plan of what they used. You just change it, unlike ourselves who started typing letter by letter. So that's number one. Number two, the second challenge is access to finance. You find that most of the companies, over 25% or so, are failing because they will start business today with money. 2, 3, 4 months down the line, the same money is what they're using for operations, to pay workers, to transportation, A, B, C, D. But the business is not doing anything. like generating proper income. Right? Yeah. So you're eating into the capital for stock. Yeah. So the stock levels keep reducing and until you remain with nothing. Mm. So people need to understand that for you to start a business, some of the costs should be borne elsewhere. I'll give an example for Sylkay. Mm. When we opened our company, it should have been in July. I still had a few months before December, before the end of my contract. Meaning, once I get my pay where I was working, that same money is paying the personnel. Once I get from the other consultants, and it's paying. So I'll tell myself, all the sales, we are just, buying more stock. Yeah. And knowing what the patients want, you don't touch it for these other operation costs up to a certain period. It could be 6 months, could be 1 year. People have not understood the concept of break-even, the break-even point, because once you understand that, then you know that at least the business is able to pay for all these things and I'm remaining with something. So most startups miss that point. Secondly, access to finance. For startups, usually nobody will be interested to give you money. Because they know this is what you're starting, and they have given the statistics already. People don't want to risk. Yeah. Yes. And the other point is that even those in the industry will not give you goods. And I don't encourage people to get goods on credit if you are a startup. It's better that you plan way in advance. So these are some of the challenges, but the other ones, regulatory challenges. Pharma business, and I can't blame that, is over-regulated because we want to protect the public. So there's there's NAPSA, there's the council, and Zambia. You have to follow all this regulatory compliance. If you don't, even if it's just one of the arms, you'll crash. So these are some of the challenges. The other challenges, most of the business do not even have risk control measures. I remember when we started our wholesale, we were not importing ourselves. So when we had that kwacha, fluctuation, where it was changing in a day, it changes we lost almost everything. So most startups should understand there's that aspect, that risk, but also fire, theft. When you look at the premiums, they are very minimal. But we just pray that the building is not gutted. Suppose it happens. It means you have lost everything. So there are a lot of challenges that are listed, including how you handle human resource. Mm. Just a human resource, it can either bring you down or uplift you. So those are some of the major things that a startup need to look out for you to be successful.
Yeah, that's quite elaborate, and I'll be picking up on the last point. Just wanted to ask quickly, is the temperature okay for the room? Is it too cold? You're seeing people, it's too cold? Yeah, maybe someone you can help us out with the aircon. But thank you so much for that point. And I'd like to just again double click on the last point you've mentioned around human resource, right? Because I think from a lot of the conversations we've had with a lot of the people that are managing healthcare businesses, facilities, pharmacies as well, that's one of the biggest challenges that they have. It's around managing the people that manage your business. And I remember there's a quote from a famous Harvard professor called Michael Porter, a strategy professor, and he said that the problem with healthcare is management itself, because a lot of healthcare professionals are just taught processes. Okay, that's the main thing that they know. But on the management side, it's a bit difficult for them. So how have you managed to navigate that and manage people in your businesses?
You are right. Most people are good technically. That's why there's even an argument now where people are saying, why should this cadre run hospitals or ABCD? It's simple. Technical skills are important, but if you marry them with management skills, that is the best. Yeah. And I've seen it myself, because that is why I've even gone back to school, specifically to do management, It makes a difference. People can pretend, but it makes a whole difference. You are not going to use guesswork to manage people, to manage resources. Even if you are a very good surgeon, you are a very good pharmacist, it becomes a problem. Now, management, the way it is, it can be through formal training, like I have done. Sometimes it may not be formal. You can listen to videos, YouTube. You can even undergo short training, short programs. For example, now we just graduated as private health professionals under the first cohort by the USAID Zambia Health Project, which was specifically teaching tailored to the business owners or business managers on this same thing, because it's hands-on. You are given simulations. How do you decide conflict management, risk management, strategic decisions? So with that, it becomes very, very easy to even implement impactful decisions. So you're right. You can be a very, very good pharmacist. That doesn't mean you'll be a very, very good manager or director of that organization. No. You can be a good player, a soccer player. It doesn't mean you will make a very, very good coach. But the underlying point is that if you are a player and then you marry with you already have the technical skills, right? You know how to trap, you know how to run. Now you marry it with this management aspect. How do you manage people? Conflict resolution. It's the same as healthcare. I'm a pharmacist. I know this product, how to store them, stability and also supply chain. But then I marry it with other qualifications. Could be marketing and so on. It makes you a better person. So that is what I would encourage whoever wants to go into business. Don't shy away from it. Might be the normal, classroom business, but get those skills and it will make a difference.
Nice. What would you say is your management style? Is it more micromanaging or more on the delegation side? Where do you think
now
you're
changed. And
you're a changed person.
Yes. And
born again.
And I'm not ashamed because it is now producing results. You know what I used to do? Because I work hard myself.
Yeah.
Wake up early, sleep late. So I had a problem of trusting and delegating tasks. Even if I'm busy, I want to do everything. I'll do NAPSA, I'll do everything. I would rather learn. Then I realized that you can't be everywhere. You can't manage. And when I realized that, just a few months ago, I gave power. As an organization, we devolved the power and the authority to individual managers. Each pharmacy has its own pharmacy manager.
Yeah.
Now those have the power, in terms of full supervision. Me, I'm no longer in the picture. And if I'm not there in 10 days, 14 days, nothing will happen. Everybody will know that they're reporting to that manager. Even now, in December, there will be appraisal.
Yeah.
They're the ones who will sit with all the staff members, appraise them, ABCD. Why is it working? Because it brings in ownership.
Yeah.
And that they are taking those decisions. Then we do the bigger things. And also, we brought in somebody seasoned in terms of accounts and human resource. Again, it has taken over much of my time because most of the things I was doing, this person is able to do. And then I focus on higher level things with the other director. That way, it is easier. And this is what I would encourage people, because now that is no longer micromanaging. I'm not the one who is counting the pills and whipping people in line. If somebody wants to come to me, because now we have proper policies, I'll say, have you spoken with your manager? No, sir, please speak to
that family.
Yes. If they fail to, then they come. So at least I'm now free and I'm getting fatter.
With less gray hair.
Yes.
Thank you. That's valuable insight. Thank you so much. Talk to us about your time at the Pharmaceutical Society of Zambia. You ran for 2 terms from 2020 to about 2024. What drove you to decide to go onto that side of the industry, moving from just running the pharmacies that you currently own to go now onto the side of the association for the Pharmaceutical Society of Zambia? And what would you say is one of the things that you're most proud of in terms of achievements during your time as president?
Thank you, Mr. Chalo. I'm very proud and happy, to have served the society the maximum terms. of two terms. So firstly, I'm passionate about the profession. I love the pharmacy profession, and everything I have in these later years is because of the profession of pharmacy. And so that is why I would like to do whatever I can to advance the profession of pharmacy. So that is the reason why I ran for president. But also, I started impacting the profession way before standing for election. I think I've been in the National Council for over 12 years, continuously. And then I ran for vice president. Of course, I won. After that, president for 2 terms. And now I'm taking a back seat, like an advisory role. It is very fulfilling because you are interacting with a lot of people, influencing policies. The biggest problem that is there is that when you're a leader, you have so many critics, the armchair critics. But I had a very terrible style, leadership style. Because if I identify you, Mr. Chalo, and another one as a troublemaker, then I'll put you where? Kuwaya. So you'll be talking, you'll be typing there on the group as a keyboard warrior. Then I see, the moment I see it is you, I ignore. So the other people will be telling me, but sir, let's respond. But if it is somebody else, the moment they mention or respond, then they'll say, this guy is responding. So it's a problem because always you are condemning, you are trying to bring down, even when people are doing their best. But we used to look at the bigger picture because the greater majority were appreciating what was happening. So if you tell me we had a lot of things that we are standing, for example, the pharmacy house, we are proud that we have our own building. Really was stored for a very long time.
Nice one in Salama Park.
So we finished it within a year. We improved the transport system. We have of taking office. We have a bus. We brought in new policies that were not there, financial management policy and other things, so it brought transparency and integrity to the pharmacy house. But also we brought in very new things. For example, the Excellency Awards. In the profession, we were not really honoring our members officially. But within 8 weeks or so of assuming office with my team, we were able to conceptualize and begin this, and it is ongoing. Okay, even now we are going to have one. We brought good working relationships between the industry players, the NGOs, and we signed a good number of MOUs with these organizations. So it means a lot because now it means that you're not just concerned about yourselves, but you're working with others. But also we impacted communities. That I'm very proud. For example, we signed an MOU with the Correctional Service. How can we help our inmates, to live better lives, even if they're incarcerated? We went out to orphanages, to reach out, vulnerable people, the aged, so as part of CSR. So that was something that was not happening formally. During disasters like COVID, you saw the Pharmaceutical Society of Zambia rally behind the industry, and also the members donated air conditioners, donated medication. Same for cholera. So for me, that meant a lot. That we are not just about ourselves, but that we want to impact lives. So there are many other things that may not have been seen, because maybe we are not publicizing so much, but the results are just coming in now. If you check, the work started a long time ago. And the good thing with the new team that has come up is that they have not thrown away the water with the baby with the bath water and the towels. So they're able to look at that which is impactful and which is good, took it on board. And of course, you can now leave out what you feel is not useful. So we did quite a lot, but all this was done to advance the profession, and I can safely say the pharmacy profession is in a better place than we found it, thanks to all my team members, the ones we worked with.
Yeah, fantastic. Why do you think such associations are important in terms of shaping the pharmaceutical industry itself?
Very important because firstly, we have to protect the industry even from quacks. You know that nobody will practice in Zambia without validation if you are trained from wherever. And who is going to know that you are properly trained? So the professional bodies themselves, like PSZ, will be able to assess you, suitability to practice. Also the training institutions, what is happening there? The professional body should be concerned because those are the ones who become. So all this is to protect the common person. Furthermore, the medicines, the professional body should be worried if there are no medicines in public health facility because we are the professionals who actually manufacture these medicines and make sure that they are available. So the professional body does a lot of things, but in all this, the patient is at the center. So if we see that there are policies that are working against a patient, the professional body should be able to speak. It should be bold enough, to speak. Why? Because they are not a political party. They are not a pressure group. They are not advancing personal interests. So a person will listen much more to the professional body, even to some of the politicians, because they will say, we know the politicians, but for the professional body, as long as you maintain professionalism, people will listen to you. So that is why they are so important.
Fantastic. Thank you. I also like one point that you had mentioned around what you had done when you were at the Pharmaceutical Society of Zambia, which is almost like shutting down critics, right? When you sort of don't listen to what the critics say, because I think it's essential, especially when you are in a space where you're innovating, especially when people do not know where you're trying to go, but you know exactly where you want to go. I'm always reminded, I heard a story of 3 frogs. Sorry, I love stories, so I'm always telling stories. There was a story about 3 frogs that had dropped off into a ditch, and so they now wanted to start jumping up to come up from that ditch. And there were other frogs that were on top. And so the frogs kept on jumping. And the frogs on top kept on saying, there's no need, just stay there, die, you won't be able to come up. And, there's no effort. They kept trying and they kept dropping. They kept trying and they kept failing. The first one stopped and just gave up because he kept on listening to those and died. Again, they ran, the 2 of them continued. The second one then failed and died. Then the third one just kept on continuing. But whilst they were still talking and talking, don't do it. You're wasting your energy. Save that energy, A, B, C, D. It kept on and kept on and kept on until it finally jumped and went up to the top. And then when it got to the top, they started investigating. How come? Why didn't you just join the rest of the 2? And they found that 3rd frog was actually deaf. It couldn't hear the critics. And that's the only reason why it was successful. And I think it speaks to what you were saying, right? Where you try and
exactly.
put the critics aside.
Because you know what they would do? They would derail your focus.
Yeah.
And they'll make sure that you fail. And once you fail, then what they are talking about will be justified.
Yeah.
So it's not that you don't like them. In fact, criticism is good for you to even perform better, but you see negative energy. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the best.
True. Yeah. You have to protect yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. So still on the same line of innovation, our theme for today's chat is around rethinking pharmacy business in order to improve healthcare outcomes for patients. What do you think is the biggest opportunity in terms of innovating in the pharmaceutical space in Zambia or just Africa generally?
Yeah, so the first one, and this is a very important question. Any organization that do not embrace technology will be dead. Where is Nokia?
Yeah.
So whether you're a bank, you're a pharmacy business, you have to embrace technology. And when I talk about technology, it's in totality. I'll give an example. If you want to digitize your operations, somebody say, oh no, it is costly, it is expensive. Yes, it is expensive, but it's a one-off cost because maintenance is not that expensive. Have you assessed the value, the long-term value? It's like you want to buy, to put solar, right? as compared to genset. So genset will be cheaper. To make noise, you have to buy fuel every time. While the other one, you pay much more, it is quiet. When power is cut off, you don't have to start and service in the generator. That's what people don't want to look at. They want the easy way. Because I'm going to spend 20,000 using this generator, this thing. But for the inverter solar, maybe it will be 90,000. Then they compare. But that 90,000 is one-off and it's giving you better value. So that is it about technology. You might be a regulator. You go to inspect these pharmacies, then you are writing on a paper, on a book like this one. You go back to the office and do many hours of typing the same reports. What's that? You're doing the same thing twice, 3 times.
Yeah.
So what you do in the other one, and I'm happy they have done that. Zambia has done that. The Zimbabwe Medicine Authority, excellent. So when you digitize, what are you doing? You just go there, then you are ticking, because you already have preset questions. So you find that even the assessment is very quick. Do you have a bin? Do you do the garbage? Yes. Oh, show us a bin. If it is there, you tick. Like that. By the time you are leaving, the report is done. All you are doing is just recommendations to the committee, A, B, C, D, U, C, to do other things. If somebody wants to import medication, what we used to do in the past was to write something, and then you scan it, you send, then they start typing. This time you enter yourselves. If you make an error, what will happen? They will just send a query to you. Then they do other things. You are delaying yourself. So that is what automation does, but people are scared to do the initial investments. And for these organizations, sometimes it can even be sponsored anyway. But they are scared. And now, once they start using it, in the early stages, it will be irritating. But once they get the hang of it, it will be very, very interesting. It will lead to efficiency. So that is it with the pharmacies. Furthermore, you might want to work with, like I've talked about, e-pharmacy, develop e-platforms. It is very, very important, because with that, you have to understand, even if somebody's searching, how do they find you earlier than the others? So it is very, very important, to work, and there's artificial intelligence now, So whoever does not embrace technology in the way you do your work will die. So initially, my advice to entrepreneurs is that you may not do everything at once, because it's costly. So you can have a phased approach where you say, okay, this quarter or this year, what do we intend to do?
I would.
When you have a good inventory management system, and I've seen this, it will help you to track end to end the products. It will reduce thefts. If you have even a camera, you link it. Whenever you're suspecting something, it comes, it plays. You're able to store that data in the cloud. Even if it happened 2 weeks ago, 1 month ago, you can go to that day. So people will be aware that somebody is watching.
Yeah.
So instead of you losing all that, it's matching a lot of savings. Meanwhile, you only invested once. Yeah. The way we are sitting here, I'm able to check what is happening in any of the branches. Even if I'm out of the country, I'm able to check. So that is how technology has moved. You can even go, oh, what is happening? Who is that person? Or somebody says, I'm at your outlet. Where are you? You just get a photo. Oh, I can see. Oh, no, I'm not there. You get the point. Yes. Yeah. But if you are not embracing technology, you say, oh, it becomes difficult. Yeah. So for me, moving forward, technology is the way to go. It may be used for operations, management, patient records, and so on. It doesn't matter, but what matters is your priorities and what you want to use, what can work for you. And then you invest. Yeah, that would be my advice. Going forward, you find that those who will not innovate will be very difficult. Even the way you do your orders will be very difficult. Expiries. Yeah.
I like that you've talked about and emphasized technology, because we are a tech company, so, kudos to us for that.
Yeah.
It's like, yes. Thank you so much. Let me get to my final question, and it's around family and business. Okay, you have a very demanding job. You have 6 outlets and several dozens of people that you are managing, and that can be quite demanding. But you're celebrating 15 years of marriage?
Yes.
15 years in marriage.
Yes.
And you're going to soon have your matebet. Congratulations.
In a few days' time.
In a few days' time. Congratulations.
Yes.
How have you managed to balance that, the demands of the family and your work as well? I think you find that a lot of people now, especially entrepreneurs and people that are running their own businesses, find a huge challenge to just, get that balance going.
Yeah, so firstly, you have to understand that whatever we do, I want to put it in simple terms. What is more valuable? Because whether it's money, possessions, all these are just, what is important are really the relationships. So you find that we are concentrating much more on our businesses, creating wealth. One day you'll be sick. You can't move. Who's going to take care of you? The same people. So you go home. You have no time for children. Trying to pull your leg. You're always working. So for me, I tell people to strike a balance. Yes, if you're so busy, you have reports pending, you can lock yourself up. You tell them, they'll even listen to you. They will understand. Don't disturb me, guys. I'm in my office. They will not even come. And if somebody wants to knock, their friends will say, no, don't disturb daddy. They'll pull them away. Because they know you have the time for them. So when you go there, put the phones down. Make sure that you give them the time and attention. You are the only father or mother they have. We give so much attention to other people, the co-workers, and so on, other companies. But when it comes to our own, and you realize, like for us, the children are growing. So they go to a boarding school, they are not with you all this time. Even this little time they come to see, it could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 1 month. Again, you want to be dodging. Really, it is not good because you are delegating your responsibilities as a parent to those teachers and to the other people. So what are they impacting? Your children. Because at the end of the day, they are growing up, and when there are those problems, absentee parents, then you start now coming, this is what your daughter has done. When you had an opportunity to sit with them, and to guide them. So for me, that is what I've done. You listen to them, you listen to your spouse, you listen to the children. If they make demands, they have to understand that they cannot get everything. And they will even ask you, Daddy, can I ABC? If you say no, they'll understand. Get what you can manage so that whilst you are around, they'll benefit. For me, I lived a short period with my parents, and all I have are good things about them because they did not just impact us. They also helped the extended family and even the people they didn't know. They had that helping hand, and we had a big, population at the house from time to time. They were good people. So that said, it is difficult, even if I didn't live with them for a very, very long time, it's difficult for us to depart, from those virtues. So that is what I would encourage people, colleagues. We have to strike a balance and give the family what is due to them.
Cool. Yeah. Great. You've talked a lot about the children, and my wife will love me for asking this. What about the spouse? You've talked about making time for the children.
Yes.
How's that balancing act between?
Yes, I mentioned, I was saying, maybe that's why they're even interpreting me. You have to understand your spouse and to give them the attention that they deserve. Yeah, so I do that.
Wow.
And there are times when I was used to mess up at first. Where you want to prove that you are the head of the house. So you make certain decisions. Your friend is trying to advise to say, no, let's not this. No, I'm the head of the house. I've decided, so this is what will happen. So they'll be quiet, just waiting. So when it fails, then they say, you remember what I was telling you? Then you'll be quiet. Again, you do the same thing. So now what I do, it's better I listen so that we go into something together. When it fails,
You both.
yes, no one will be pointing at anyone, and then you. Yeah, but also, as we conclude, I wanted to give the final advice to entrepreneurs and others. I think it is very, very important. So number one, which is very, very key, is understand the 7 Ps of marketing. For me, it has served me well. So number one, you have to look at the right place. Don't just open a business anywhere because there is an opportunity.
Yeah.
A pharmacy business, no. It has to be the right place. Is it a shopping mall? If it is a shopping mall, is it profitable compared to... So place really matters because you can have the stock, you can have the people, the skills, but if the place is wrong, you will not make it. Secondly, the price. Price matters in this part of the world. I remember one of my professors said, look, if 3 people come to your facility and complain because of the price, just know that out of 10, 7 are not happy. There's a silent majority, the 4, who will just walk out quietly. They may even buy, but that doesn't mean they'll come back. So 3 is a very, very bad number out of 10. So you have to interrogate.
Yeah.
People in this part of the world, you need to understand the market. For example, if I'm at Manda Hill, price should not be an issue so much because people can afford there. Although healthcare should not, it shouldn't be ripping people off, but I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
Now, if you go in people with low socioeconomic status, like in Chawama, in other areas, even a 1 kwacha means a lot. Somebody will walk, they don't even have transport for a bus. Our first pharmacy, by the way, was in Chawama. Right? We have moved away from it. So somebody will walk. No, I have nothing against, because you reach a certain time when you have reached a peak. You have all the stock, you are working so hard, but the sales are just the same. But in other places, if you put in more stock, more energy, even the sales. So the point is that you have to be mindful.
Amen.
Right price, let it be competitive. The third one is promotion. There's nothing that stops you as a business, a pharmacy business, from promoting your business. It's just that health business should be promoted in a certain way.
Yeah.
If you are just informing people that you are doing these services, there's no harm. If you are sponsoring a radio program to do with health, for example, one of our senior members, Samtoloka, does that at Chengero Radio for a long time. It means a lot because now people will know about you. And they'll know that you're not just concerned about their money, but you're concerned about their health. You may not be the ones talking on the radio, but just sponsoring, and the other health professionals are coming, you are impacting the community.
Yeah.
There could be community outreach programs. Be part of those. You will see a lot of people, the pharmacies from the public sector coming there. So promotion is important. There are many ways you can do it, okay? But you have to be ethical. The information has to be factual. Don't say, we are the best in Zambia, we're the only ones who can do this. No. But you can say, these are the available services. The fourth P is the people. What kind of people do you want to employ? Is it the friends? Is it the relatives? Is it incompetent people? Because the only thing that should bring people is competence and their contribution to the organization. What value are they adding? Because that can make or break the company. Remember, people will say, if you treat your people well, the workers, they will treat your company well. The fifth P is physical, the physical appearance.
Yeah.
So your business itself should be appealing. Even if somebody is just passing, this is a pharmacy. The moment they enter, they even get well before they are even greeted. Yeah. Yes. the shelves, yeah, all stocked just by looking. Eh? The other one is a product. A customer will come and say, do you have Brewston? Then you say, no, we don't have. They'll ask you, no, but we have something else that can work. And, I want Brewston. They say, which is the next pharmacy? Then you are pointing as if you're, oh, okay. They'll go there. Then they'll ask. Then they find that Brewston is 2 kwacha. Meanwhile, from your shop, they've been buying 5 kwacha. Then they turn around, they see they're even better stock, better service. Do you think they'll come back? So these are some of the things. So you have lost out that income. And the last P is, I've talked about the people, promotion, place, the physical, the price. The product, yes. So you have to have a diverse range of products. So for us, what we do, we have this common medication, but we are known in the industry as having specialized products as well. So that's our niche. We may have a few clients, maybe the cancer clients, ABCD, but we'll get the product for them, even if it's not in country. So make sure it comes. So that sets us apart. So you need to also have your unique, value proposition. What is it that you are bringing to the table? So that somebody will come all the way. Like I'll give an example, one of the late members of the profession, Mr. James from Jubilee. He died, the owner of Jubilee Pharmacy. People will come all the way, leave all those pharmacies. Why are they coming to him? Is it the only pharmacy? It's because of the value that you are giving. So for me, that is what I tell people. Interrogate the 7 P's of marketing, because with that, it can transform your business.
Yeah, fantastic. What a way to close. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. I think a round of applause to such a great session. Thank you so much. I think it's been great. We've had a wonderful time, and it's been quite inspiring and motivating, thought-provoking. I know a lot of us will go back with all of these gems that you've shared and will be able to act upon them.